Amid the current investigations being conducted in the House and Senate regarding flood control anomalies, we'll talk about the ambitious flood control projects in Metro Manila and its surrounding areas, jointly spearheaded by JICA and DPWH. Good morning. I'm Atty. Karen Jimeno. This is At the Forefront. Japan International Cooperation Agency or JICA and the Department of Public Works and Highways have been pursuing ambitious flood control projects behind anomalies of local contractors currently being investigated by Congress and Senate. What and where are these projects? How soon would these programs be concluded? Can these efforts deliver real solutions to our flood-prone country? With us this morning is the Senior Representative of the Japan International Cooperation Agency, Takanori Morishima. Good morning, Morishima-san.
Good morning, magandang umaga.
Joining the discussion is the Senior Undersecretary of DPWH, Emil Kiram Sadain. Good morning, Undersecretary.
Good morning, ma'am. Nice to see you back.
Yes. So let's start first with the full-blown Senate and Congress investigation regarding flood control projects. What is the overall mood right now, Yusek Emil, in DPWH among the employees and officials?
Yeah, good morning, ma'am. Actually, it's a welcome development for us in the Department of Public Works and Highways. That is one way of reading out those anomalies and irregularities within the department itself, including the personnel involved. And there's actually an ongoing investigations with Congress and Senate, where the Department of Public Works and Highways is also participating in the discussion. But we know that His Excellency President Marcos will create a third-party commission that will really dig down on these anomalous transactions and find out who are the culprits among these employees within the department. So it's actually a very welcome development for us to have this kind of investigation. At least we can clear and determine who are those involved in this kind of anomalies. But we have to separate, ma'am, those foreign-assisted projects and the locally funded projects.
Yes, so yun yung malaking bagay.
Yes.
Foreign-assisted projects are different from the way locally funded projects are being implemented.
Yeah. And the thing that is being investigated are the locally funded projects. So, but that's still complementary in terms of serviceability once these projects should have been completed and put in the proper perspective of its proper implementation. So, while we are doing the flood control major projects, especially on the major river basins, 18 major river basins, the locally funded projects must complement the whole operations of this system. It should not be an independent structure or just determined by somebody at the benefits of their own purposes, but it should be collaborative in terms of the big pumping flood control stations, foreign funded, and the locally funded projects. It should coexist each together. For this
and I'm glad you made that distinction, Senior Undersecretary Emil, because yung sa inyo po, ang scope ng trabaho nyo sa DPWH are the foreign funded projects. And these are projects that yung wala siyang kinalaman dun sa mga hindi siya locally bidded out. They're not implemented by any of the contractors that were listed by the president. No? Kasi they're foreign funded. So we have international agencies like JICA.
And the implementations, ma'am, actually are consistent with the lending institution procurement guidelines.
Which are usually
JICA,
foreign
World
guidelines.
Bank, ADB, Korean Exim Bank. It has to follow some strict provisions on the procurement system.
Well, it's good that finally, meron naman tayo maririnig na magandang balita tungkol sa DPWH. So, ang pag-uusapan natin ngayon are the projects that actually worked and were implemented properly. And they followed mga foreign guidelines of international agencies like the World Bank and like JICA. So, let's talk about, well, first, the reaction of DPWH officials when Secretary Vince Dizon took over. What was your reaction to that news na si Secretary Vince Dizon po yung na-appoint sa DPWH?
Yeah, it's also a welcome development, ma'am, because we can have, again, a new fresh start in terms of leadership. And we know that Sec Vince is given the full authority of the President to find out ways not only solving the problems on flood control, but also focusing on the true mandate of the DPWH. we know for a fact that Sec Bonoan has also made a lot of works, important works, especially on the big ticket projects. But still, the huge organization itself has to be cleaned up in a way that we can also discipline those people doing the anomalous transactions on the ground.
Yeah, well, the JICA agency has always been a longtime partner of the DPWH. It's the only international agency that I see has already an office within DPWH. What was your reaction to Secretary Vince Dizon as the new DPWH Secretary?
Yeah, actually, while I'm in charge of the DRM sectors, but also my colleagues collaborated several projects in Metro Manila, subway, and others, which DOT are in charge. And of course, we, JICA, and also Japanese government as a whole, already collaborate a lot with the Sec Dizon. His leadership is very, improving the everything goes smoothly. So that we believe that even after becoming a secretary of DPWH, we believe that we could collaborate more and more. Of course, while former secretary supported a lot.
Okay, that's good to hear. Paano po yung courtesy resignations that Secretary Dizon asked for? Kayo po ba, did you tender your courtesy resignation as well?
Yeah, there was a turnover on leadership yesterday in the afternoon. And me and my group, 5 BPMO clusters and myself, submitted our papers for the courtesy resignation. So I think it's a fresh start, and it's a normal way of showing respect to the incoming new secretary, where people has to be receptive in coming with the organizations, no? The officials down the line. We are actually welcome for any restructuring that the new secretary should introduce to the organization.
So you're giving him the prerogative
Yes,
to
exactly, ma'am.
either bring in people, restructure, or to
Yes.
also reject resignations.
Yes, ma'am. Exactly.
And yung hindi po ba kayo worried that with this comes also an effect on implementing ongoing projects? Wala po bang magiging delay while this cleanup is ongoing?
Well, I think with the filing of the resignation, we still have to wait for the acceptance, whether rejected or renewed. But meantime, we still have to continue those works that are currently being done. So I know SecBins also is putting some more emphasis also on how to select the best officials, best engineers on the ground to work with him.
So right now, JICA, with the past experiences you've had in implementing projects, since there's really no money coming from the government generally to fund the projects, did you ever experience any corruption when implementing projects in the Philippines relating to fraud control?
Yeah, actually, until now, and I'm happy to say that I've never heard about that point for our project.
Okay, that's good to hear. So, Senior Yusek Emil, ito yung question na up to now hindi clear to the public because we've heard that walang master plan for flood control in the Philippines. And Senator JV has also manifested sa Senate when they were conducting the hearing that there should be a master plan. And Undersecretary Claire Castro also said that there was no flood control master plan that was turned over by the past administrations to the current DPWH Secretary at that time, si Secretary Manuel Bonoan. But si Secretary Babe Singson said, nung natapos yung term nila under President Aquino, meron daw silang iniwan na flood control master plan. So ano po ba yung tamang sagot? Meron ba tayong flood control master plan?
Yeah, actually, ma'am, talking about master plan, it's actually about a broad term. If we talk about integrated flood control master plan for Metro Manila, wala siyang specific. But there are several particularities, no? In 1990, sometime 1990, JPIC at that time, now JICA, has actually funded and implemented a master plan. We call it flood control master plan and flood control and drainage master plan. It identifies 3 major projects: the Kamanapa flood control projects, the West Manggahan flood control projects, and the Pasig Marikina River Channel Improvement Project. Among the 3, the first one that was completed was the West Manggahan Floodway projects. This is in 2007. And this actually addressed the overbanking of blood water from the Laguna Lake towards the area of Taguig, Pateros, Pasig, that projects become effective. The other one is the Kamanaba flood control projects completed in 2013. Although it did not cover the entire area, but it actually functioned well before it was actually destroyed by some accident. But this is actually being repaired now. Ito yung area ng Caloocan, Malabon, Nabotas, and towards Obando, Valenzuela, May Kawayan. There's also pumping stations there for Valenzuela, but not to cover other areas. So they still have some lacking measures on that to contain the entire riverbank protections from the water coming from the sea, no. So, but the Pasig Marikina River Channel Improvement Project, this is the project that until now it's actually been continuously being carried out. From the 2002 take-off from the 1990 master plan, from 2002 when the detailed design was done for the entire 52 kilometers. If you talk of 52 kilometers, that is from the Manila Bay, from Parola, all the way to San Mateo. The implementation of this, after the phase 1 for detailed design, the phase 2 came in about 26 kilometers long. This is actually from the area of Parola all the way to Nampindan. Then that is the phase 2, and the phase 3 is actually from the little portions that were left from the phase 2. It includes also further towards Mangahan Floodway.
Okay.
And the phase 4, that is from Mangahan Floodway all the way to Santo Niño. That's about 8 kilometers stretch.
Ongoing pa po yung implementation
That's ongoing.
ng phase 4.
Yeah, but the important there, Ma'am Karen, the sections from Marcos Highway to Sumulong Highway, when that was constructed, at 64%, no, one contract package pa lang, the Provinet Valley that was submerged in 2009 during the Ondoy typhoon, it was never been flooded. Even the high-level marking in Santo Niño or Marikina Bridge at 18 meters, which is actually the third alarming level, it did not flooded in that area.
So may nakikita pala tayong
There is,
resulta.
yeah.
So with respect to the 1990 flood control master plan, that it's called the master plan, but it doesn't really cover the whole Philippines. It sounds
did not,
like it,
ma'am.
no? Pero tawag sa kanya master plan.
Yes,
So baka
it's a
ito
master
yung
plan, ma'am.
pinag-uusapan ni Secretary Babe Singson na iniwanan
No,
din nila?
the
or
one
iba
that
pa
was
yun?
actually taken as a revisiting again, the revisions of that, the upgrading, that is actually 2013 master plan, this time
2013.
funded by World Bank.
Okay.
So
all of
JICA
these
funded
had
in 1990,
Yes.
and World Bank funded it in 2013.
Okay. So these sound like all very legitimate master plans because they were created with the help of international agencies like JICA and the World Bank. And it sounds like with respect to the 1990 master plan that JICA funded, yung mga phase 1, 2, 3,
Yes,
may
yes.
improvement talaga.
Exactly,
So like for
ma'am.
example,
Yes.
sa Marikina, talagang
Yes.
na-prevent niya yung pag-submerge ng areas that used to be flooded by Ondoy.
Yes.
So makikita natin na pag ginagawa siya in accordance with the master plan and implemented through foreign-funded projects, nagkakaroon ng real effective results.
Yeah.
So ngayon po, paano naman yung mga areas na hindi lang related to river basins? Because tinanong po ito ni Senator Amy Marcos dun sa Senate hearing this week na bakit daw ang mga concentration lang ng DPWH are the main riverways, whereas yung pagbabaha ngayon, hindi lang dun sa mga konektado sa river.
Yes.
Parang hindi ba pwedeng magkaroon tayo ng
Yeah.
consolidated, comprehensive master plan?
Let me expound my previous statement, Attorney Karen, for that. Before I'll answer the new questions. The World Bank Master Plan that was done in 2013, it identifies 11 major projects for Metro Manila. But although the identifications of these 11 projects, that includes already the JICA, it capsulated the entire program that goes through with this new master plan. No? But in that master plan, continuous pa rin ginagawa natin yung 1990, it transition to 2013 master plan. Tuloy-tuloy pa rin po siya. But we need to see the bigger picture. The Pasig Marikina River Basin has 635 square kilometers drainage area. Then you have also the Laguna Lake River Basin, that's about 3,280 square kilometers. These two integrated each other in terms of flooding because, water will seek its own level regardless of the distance. It really complements each other. So the intention there is to go from downstream of Pasig River all the way to upstream of Marikina. And that is the phase 6 that we are proposing, where a study now that would address the ultimate infrastructures necessary. These are the dams that will be constructed in the Sierra Madre, especially in Mount Oro and Mount Boso-Boso.
Tsaka it sounds
that will
like
help
sophisticated flood control
Exactly,
projects.
ma'am.
Hindi yung mga pumping stations
Yes, it
lang
cannot
or yung
be-
mga drainage
yeah.
or dredging. Hindi siya
Yes,
ganun,
ma'am.
no?
Oo.
So, what is preventing us from implementing these types of projects?
Yeah, I think the huge budget there is very much necessary. And other than that, ma'am, the receiving water for Pasig, Marikina, and the Laguna de Bay River Basin has to be enhanced. We still have, we could say there are 3 more lacking infrastructures. The dam, the retarding basin, and as well as the the Laguna Lake Parañaque Spillway. This spillway could be actually one of the ultimate solutions to flooding because instead of water coming down to Pasig River, it will drain out through tunnels all the way to Manila Bay. The intention there, Attorney Karen, is the design flood at 100-year flood
100-year return
period. We have 2,900 cubic meter per second. Once you got completed, which is ongoing now, the Marikina control gauge structures to Pasig River, you will be only regulating the flow at 500 cubic meter per second. Meaning the 2,400 will have to go to Laguna de Bay. So by regulating the 500 cumex down to Pasig River all the way to Manila Bay, it can give you a more capacity to absorb more floodwater from the inland, especially the 16 cities of Metro Manila.
So hindi
Dati
yun
kasi
yung-
umaapaw
yeah.
siya. Once umaapaw yan, wala ka nang lalabasan na tubig dyan.
Yeah.
Although may pumping station ka, but it will spill over and find some low-lying areas na babahay
Yun
niya.
naman ang babahin. Okay.
So with that 500 cumex, ma'am, it can lower the flooding capacity niya, and it includes more additional volumes from the inland. Now, what will happen to the 2,400 cumex that goes to Laguna de Bay? The Parañaque Spillway will address that floodwater na naipon doon sa retarding basins na yun ng Laguna de Bay. It will be pumped out to Manila Bay directly. So you can eliminate flooding coming to Pasig River, and you can also eliminate flooding in the nearby areas of Laguna de Bay. Because Laguna de Bay has 21 how do you call it? 21 rivers that goes towards this discharge to the Laguna de Bay. Sa 21 na yan, actually, yung mga secondary rivers niya is also an adding factors to increase the flood water.
Okay.
We have the average level at 12.5. Then the minimum lower level is actually 11.5. So that 1 meter, once a typhoon is coming, it will be lowered by 1 meter. So, maibsan yung baha, ma'am.
Oo, very technical po ng explanation.
Yeah,
Iba pagka-engineer talaga ang nag-explain. But ito po yung hinahanap ng taong bayan. Yung
Exactly,
ganyan ka-sophisticated na solusyon sa flooding. So, Morishima-san, how would you describe the type of flooding problems we're having in the Philippines? We have the same problems when it comes to typhoons, the same as Japan, but Japan doesn't get flooded the way we do. When it comes to, for us, even just a strong downpour, which is not a typhoon, we already get flooded, like last Saturday, especially in Quezon City. So, what do you see as some of the main problems as to why we're experiencing this type of flooding?
Thank you very much. And actually, I think the Japan had the same experience before. Because after coming here, I'm in charge of the DRM sectors, and through the several discussions and the learning from my past experience in Japan, actually Japan did the same experiences before. We had a flood and we had damage from the typhoons and monsoons. But after that, we incorporated several technologies and the construction of dams and also several measures returning basins and others, so that now we didn't suffer like what suffered in Philippines. And for the Philippines, we collaborated and we supported through several projects, like Pasig Marikina already discussed, and also in the Cavite now. And there are several projects before in several cities. And through that support, we understand that there are several developments, and still there are needs, we know.
Okay. What do you do in Japan differently? When you implement flood control projects, do you have also an integrated master plan? And is this implemented by just one government agency?
Actually, of course, we need a master plan in the first stage. So in case of Japan, we did a master plan and analyze what the kind of the approaches we need to tackle the situation and prioritize the project. So that we implement it. And the same things we incorporated our assistance, like what you already discussed. In the beginning, we did the master plan for the each river basins. And after that, we do the preparatory survey and going to the real project.
How long did it take for Japan to complete a flood control master plan?
I think it's hard to say it in the specific years because it depends on the size of the areas and also the scope of the project.
But would you say that the master plan that you started with as a country has been now fully implemented for the whole of Japan? Or is this still an ongoing process?
Hard for me to state everything because still in Japan have several floods happening because of the climate change and several things different compared to before. But I believe that in case of Japanese government keep updating the situation and update the several master plans to implement new projects to cover the situations.
And to adapt to climate change.
Right.
Senior Yusek Emil, let's go back to that question on ano ba yung role ng MMDA and local government units? Because like you said kanina, it sounds like yung mandate ng DPWH is limited to implementing certain types of flood control projects. Pero when it comes to drainage and yung inlands ng Pilipinas, for example, within Metro Manila na hindi nakakabit sa river, sino po bang may responsibility for that?
Yeah, ma'am, maybe let's backtrack a little. In 2002, sometime in 2002, the flood control responsibility from the DPWH, especially from NCR, catering to Metro Manila, was actually transferred in full to MMDA.
So nalipat po sa MMDA back in 2002?
Yes, the equipment, the manpower, all the logistics were transferred. So, but the major river basins, the major infrastructures on flood control, especially the pouring panel, are still continuing because these are actually concentrated on the river basin itself, which is the Pasig, Marikina, and Laguna de Bay. Kaya tuloy-tuloy may trabaho ng major projects na yan. Pero the missing link there, the missing gap is actually yung work na from the waterways. There somebody has to clean the waterways where MMDA should really focus on that.
But right now, who has that mandate po?
It's actually with MMDA, no?
MMDA
along
pa
with the
rin.
16 cities and one municipality. Because ang local drainage is actually the role of MMDA and the local government. Then there's also the waterways, the clearing, the garbage collections, pati mga desiltation works. That's still part of the MMDA.
So malaki pala role din ng
yes,
MMDA.
actually, nakakawa din sila because they lack the funds also. And there are also projects that goes through the DPWH, yung mga local flood control projects. Pero ito dahil wala siyang study kung saan-saan na ituturo, saan-saan nilalagay, I think they have to consult with the local government where to put these projects. Kung gusto nila mag-invest on that activities, yung local drainage, pwede silang tumulong. Yung desiltation works ng waterways, Esteros Creek, pwede din silang tumulong doon. So it's not the role of the local government and the MMD alone. Kung meron naman pondo from Congress to give some impact on that activity. So dapat tumulong din sila doon. Kaya nga, na-appreciate po namin yung mga observations ng local government at napupuna ang DP, but actually, these are actually congressional funds and initiative that goes through other identifications.
Yeah.
So
but
like Mayor Joy, Mayor Isko, so I think there should be collaborations in that direction.
As Senior Undersecretary, nakita nyo na po yung mga, siguro yung gaps nga na napansin ninyo na when it comes to what local governments really need, it sounds like ang nakakapag-decide anong project are the congressmen in the districts. Tapos, ang nasasabihan nila are the district engineers.
Yes.
So kung kayo po, if you had that ability to change the system, ano yung babaguhin niyo po?
So, siguro ma'am, yung site identification and selection, yung coordinations mo with the local government na alam nila yung drainage system nila dahil this is actually managed by them, dapat yun ang mabigyan ng sapat na pondo. Hindi siya maglalagay kung saan-saan na pumping stations na hindi naman nagagamit. So it should be in the proper locations where it will complement the dredging system of the local government where it can bring flood water towards the major river basin, which is the Pasig-Marikina River Channel. So yun siya. Pero ma'am, ito kasi ang isang cutscene dito, no? I think alam ng lahat na there was a call before to create the Department of Water.
Yes.
There was also the call for Department of Migrant Workers at saka yung sa disaster. But only one ang natuloy,
Napasa
yung
sa
migrant workers.
po, oo.
Umasa rin tayo doon sa Department of Water na i-create, which there was a long debate from Congress, from Senate, pero hindi po na-realize yun. I think marami ring umasa doon. Pero if we really have to push through more aggressively, DPWH can take a look on that kung paano talaga maayos siya. No? Isang way na ginagawa naman dito with JICA and the World Bank. At least, we started this 2 weeks ago with JICA, meeting with them and the World Bank to formulate an integrated flood risk management master plan for Metro Manila. Ito yung hinahanap ng mahal na Pangulo na how to go about with this integrated master plan. Ito po yung ma'am, pag salamin natin integrated master plan, hindi lang po yan structural measures, no? Hindi lang yung mga construction ng flood wall, revetment, pumping station, flood gates. Kundi there are some non-structural measures. Yun ang dapat na buuhin siya.
What non-structural measures?
Yeah,
Can you give us
yung
an
non-structural
example?
measures, ma'am, I think we have, nakita natin how talagang worst condition we had. Yung floating garbage sa estero, sa waterways, tapos yung desiltations niya na hindi na desilt. Kung wala pang bayanihan, walang nagtitake serious on that. Walang kukuha yan. But that garbage is generated every day.
Yes.
Kung yung bayanihan mo is only good for 1 week, 2 months, parang sayang din yun. Then you also have the waterways that are actually occupied by informal settlers. So dito dapat pumasok ang DSUD, no? Part of the master plan. DSUD should take a look on this, how to address that kind of informal settlers sa waterways. Saan ba
To relocate them para hindi nila nababarahan yung mga
and that should be
estero.
also complement with the land use planning na gagawin naman ng local government. Ipagbawal nila na yung nakatira doon. I-police lang area para hindi nabalikan. So while there are some desiltation works and dredgings and also the congestions, no, the desiltation works for the local drainage. Ito yung dapat pagtuunan ng pansin. Kaya makikita niyo ma'am, pag kasagsagan ng baha o ng ulan, mataas ang baha niyan. Pero after several hours, mawawala siya. Ibig sabihin, maliit yung pasukan ng tubig niya going to Pasig River. So that just give an emphasis na barado talaga yung drainage, local drainage karamihan. Once it goes to the waterways, it could be barado din siya, silted, garbage. Hindi rin siya lakbay ng towards sa Pasig River na malaking channel talaga. Yun dapat ang talagang pagtuunan ng pansin. So that kind of system should go through the integrated master plan. Tapos nandiyan pa yung DNR, yung mga reforestations natin sa watershed areas, especially in Sierra Madre, isa rin titignan yan. Then we also have the DOST, which caters to yung mga flood warning system, sa mga rainfall gauge station. Nakakalat yan because these are actually vital references in coming up with the design analysis for a more progressive planning and design for all these flood control projects.
Okay.
So dapat po yan ma'am, na nagkakasama-sama siya. DPWH, MMDA, the 17 cities, DSUD, DNR, DOST, o kung sino pa man agency makapasok dyan. I think even the private sectors or even the academe can also partake in this master plan.
And you have also Project NOAA para dun sa mga
Yes, ma'am.
early warning
Yes, that's
and
actually
information.
with DOST.
Yes. So ngayon pa lang, just listening to you, Senior Yusek Emil, nakakapagod siya kasi ang dami talagang kailangan gawin. And yet,
Yes.
if you look at the past years, the way we've been spending taxpayers' money, it's really on solutions na hindi well thought of. And it sounds like they were put in the budget just to make money for contractors
Yeah.
and for the politicians involved
Yeah.
in putting the budget there. Uh, for JICA, what do you think could be short-term solution for now, just to lessen the flooding in the Philippines? And it's not just in Metro Manila now, but in also other provinces. Do you see any short-term solution that we can implement in the meantime?
Actually, of course, this is not easy solutions for the short term. But when, like what Senior Yusek Sadain mentioned, that the non-structural measures is more shorter approach compared to the construction of the big dams or some shortcuts or several things.
So like cleaning up the garbage.
Yeah, cleaning garbage and also kind of IEC, information education, to know the situation when you suffer the monsoon or typhoons, need to evacuate in an early manner so that you can save your life. So that's kind of the shorter solutions in case of the suffering. The
Kaya lang,
disasters.
wala naman kasing masyadong kickback pagka lilinisin lang yung basura. But joking aside, Senior Yusek Emil, in your experience, yung ODA, yung mga foreign assisted projects, ito yung malaki nga po yung impact in the past, and it's been something that you've been able to track in terms of the impact of these types of projects.
Yes, ma'am.
But there was a year na zero yung funds sa
Yeah, that was last year.
ODA sa
Yeah.
2025 budget po yun.
Yeah.
So,
that was last
paano
year.
nyo na-overcome yung pag-zero budget sa inyo ng Senate and Congress sa 2025 General Appropriations Act to continue these types of flood control projects? But before you answer that question, we'll have to take a short break. At the Forefront, we'll be right back. Welcome back at the Forefront. Senior Yusek Emil, there was a year, 2024 General Appropriations Act, wherein the budget for foreign assisted projects of the DPWH was zero.
Yes,
So walang binigay sa inyo yung Congress po. How were you able to overcome that, considering there were projects that were for implementation na foreign assisted?
Yeah, actually, ma'am, the effect of that, there were some delays, no, but there was no terminations of contract. But some contractors actually do some slowdown of their activities. But what we did here is we talked with all these contractors by different lending institutions, from JICA, from Korean, from World Bank, from ADB, sort of guaranteeing all these contractors that the funds is there. It's just only the matter of the necessary approval that is not given. But fortunately also, being it na nasaan program siya, although late na, it came on the third and fourth quarter. Doon lang sila nababayaran. But the work actually continues to being done, except for those that are in the procurement stage. Because you cannot procure without the ability of funds available in that kind of undertaking.
But for those that
all
were ongoing
constructions, tuloy-tuloy
implementation.
siya.
Oo. Pero parang more of promise lang na babayaran
Yes, parang
namin
it's
kayo.
more of a face value na gawin nyo kasi darating naman ang pondo. And this was also supported by the land institutions.
Pero hindi ba nakakahiya yun? Kasi ibang bansa ang mga kausap natin.
Yes,
Tapos, hindi natin sila mabayaran. Pinapangako lang. At the time, was there any explanation why Congress did not appropriate anything for
Yeah, I think
these
there was a
foreign assisted
huge debate
projects?
on that, ma'am. No less than the president actually was actually frustrated on that. And I know he gave some instructions to both House and Senate to be more supportive on these projects. Kaya noong 2025, nagkaroon naman siya ng pondo, but still there are some unprogrammed portions pa rin siya. So we're back actually in the implementations of the...
San, how is it different when it comes to implementing JICA-funded projects here in the Philippines? When it comes to bidding out the projects, are we able to bid it to foreign contractors? What makes it different?
Yeah, actually, as Senior Yusek Sadain already touched upon, for our ODA loan assistance projects, we are asking our recipient to compliance with the international standard procurement.
So you mean by
process.
recipient DPWH
Yes.
/ Philippines, we
Yeah.
have to comply with international procurement standards.
So they need to utilize the procurement guidelines and also the using the bidding documents which complied with international standards.
So in your experience, Yusek Emil, how would you compare yung implementation ng foreign assistance projects with local projects in terms of efficiency of fund use at saka being on time completion versus yung kung meron mang slippage compared to local projects?
Yeah, in the procurement guidelines, ma'am, of the lending institution, these are actually very strict in terms of compliance in the undertaking. Every step of the way of the procurement has to be submitted for updates sa lending institution, and they will evaluate also whatever the result of the procurement. Then, if they find some queries on that, magtatanong sila sa amin. But the important there, if no issues can be taken from the review, they will issue the no objection letter. Then you can proceed to the next step of procurement. So nandun yung review. Every step of the procurement, ginagawa natin sa central bank in the department, sinasubmit natin ang result sa lending institution. So that's good enough. There's also a second review for that. And that can guarantee the more selected bidders are really qualified and competent enough. So,
And
the
for
battle then,
foreign-funded projects, foreign contractors are allowed to
they are
also bid.
Yeah, except for the tied loan like Korean Exim Bank and JICA, where these are actually Japanese and Korean contractors respectively. But they're also allowed to get local partners.
Yeah.
So, but ADB, World Bank, these are actually open to all nationalities to participate in the bidding as long as they are competent, qualified, and no bad record in the past projects.
Yeah, and that's, I think, to me, a good way to also bring in foreign technology to the Philippines.
Exactly, ma'am.
Bakit ba hindi payagan na lang ang foreign contractors to participate in other DPWH projects? So parang gamitin na lang yung best practice models dito sa ODA, yung sa inyo po sa unit nyo under DPWH. Bakit hindi na lang natin gawin to for even locally funded infrastructure
Yeah,
projects?
they can participate, ma'am. In fact, in the procurement system we had for locally funded, we are adopting the system, we call it the quality cost-based procurement. This is not the ordinary procurement. Na normally, ang isang simplified bidding mo can be done in 45 days to 2 months. You can do the award. Pero sa simplified procurement biddings, they have to be separated, both technical and financial. Ini-evaluate pareho yan. Hindi sa regular procurement, kung sino yung mababa, siya mananalo. Pero ito kasi, i-weigh mo yung technical proposal niya versus the financial. And it goes with the point system for you to be winning, getting the highest point in that procurement system. So, medyo tedious siya, but you can get the most competent contractors.
Yeah, and the higher quality.
In the higher quality.
Ginagawa na po to sa
Yes,
local
ginagawa
projects.
natin yan, ma'am. In the centralized, ma'am, centralized procurement, but in the local, hindi pa siya.
Sa
Doon
local
region,
hindi pa,
sa
oo
district.
nga eh. Sa
I think that
district
should
hindi
be
pa.
cascaded down to the
Yeah,
region
is
and
there
district.
anything that's preventing the DPWH from implementing this kahit sa local and districts?
Hindi naman, ma'am.
project
I think we just
implementation.
have to educate those procurement team in the region and district. Because that is one way getting the best chosen contractors for that project, which is pitted.
So what can we look forward to in terms of flood control solutions? You've mentioned yung mga phase 4 of the JICA Flood Control Master Plan, which started back in 1990. Has this been updated, and meron ba kaming maasahan na ongoing po na projects na matatapos na soon?
Yeah, we are now, ma'am, in the phase 6 now because the phase 4, which is currently being constructed, matatapos ito in the next few years from now. But the challenge there is the upper Marikina sections, which the Marikina dams are located. Meron tayong ginagawa dyan, ma'am, yung study, the feasibility study for that project. We call it the enhancement for flood control structures in the prioritized river basin. Ongoing na po yan. By June next year, matatapos siya. And this will determine the size of the structures that will be constructed there, which is the Marikina Dam, inclusive of the retarding basins in San Mateo. Then on the other side, yung Parañaque Spillway, we got the FS yan as early as 2022, and we are actually in the negotiation stage with JICA for the detailed design. And this will be taken up in the high-level meeting in the coming weeks, ma'am, sa Osaka, Japan.
That's great. So
Yeah.
we have an upcoming, potentially na
Yes, ma'am.
flood control master plan and
Yes, ma'am.
project
For projects, ma'am.
that's currently going to be negotiated with JICA.
Yeah. But more than that, ma'am, the integrated flood risk management master plan for Metro Manila, this is going to be a project that will be funded jointly by JICA and the World Bank. So the non-structural measures will be put into the World Bank study, and the structural measures, the structural component are actually with the JICA. But this will be in one master plan. Dalawang magko-co-finance niyan. And we are already discussing with the World Bank and with JICA in the past few weeks.
Okay, I'm going to have like a very practical question. Mahal po ba pagka JICA at World Bank yung nagfa-fund ng mga projects sa Pilipinas?
I
Kasi
think we-
bakit hindi na lang ganito yung gawin natin for all flood control para siguradong hindi mabulsa yung pera?
Yeah, I think we need to look on the applicability of the master plan, ma'am. Meaning there are some international standards that we need to recognize and apply it also here. But of course, the actual situations, the actual survey must be done on the ground. Doon natin dapat mapagtugma na yung terrain, river morphology, yung features ng contouring ng lugar should complement with the overall master plan na gagawin mo. Kaya hindi siya, ma'am, na masasabi. The master plan for, say, Mindanao, for Visayas, is the same with the master plan we had for Metro Manila because it has different terrain,
Yes.
different river morphology, different river basin, and all of this will really have to be inputted to the overall master plan. At least it will serve more efficiently in addressing the flood
The flooding,
situations.
yes. And based on your experience, Senior Yusek Emil, yung mga costing ninyo for these different flood control projects in the past, rounded off numbers ba siya, uniform numbers, or nag-iiba-iba siya?
Nag-iiba-iba siya dito, Karen, kasi ang basis mo dito, these are actually karamihan mga sophisticated structures. If you talk of tunneling, that is wala pa sa program natin sa gobyerno or sa Pilipinas because these are actually underground tunnel in the case of Parañaque Spillway.
Yeah.
Although we have already references like the one in Davao City Bypass, that's about 2.3 kilometers tunnels. Tatapos po natin na yung butasin yung 2 barrels niya. And these are actually a good references also for the tunneling per se. Although this is mountain tunnel compared to the underground tunnel for flood control.
So for costing. But sa inyo po ba, personally, was it a red flag for you to see that in the local flood control projects, maraming uniform amounts na kahit magkakaiba yung lugar, magkakaiba yung
Imposible mangyari dapat yan, ganyan, Karen. Kasi what we see here is the applicability ng design, even the costing to a particular project. Hindi po pwede na parang standard siya.
Oo.
Even survey may differ from one another. So how much more the cost, how much more the design.
So, kaduda-duda talaga dati pa. Pero kayo wala po kayong magawa.
We do not
because
allow that
it's
actually.
Sa inyo, hindi
yeah,
allowed yun.
yeah,
Oo.
yeah.
Well, Morishima-san, in your experience working in the Philippines, how would you compare the implementation of projects here with other countries that JICA works with?
Actually, situation will be different in each country by country and sector by sector. And based on my personal experiences, which I more experienced in the Middle East countries, Iraq or Egypt and other countries, here our collaboration and coordination very strong. And after actually 6 months passed after I come here, but within 6 months, like I met and discussed with Senior Yusek Sadain more than 10 times. And my colleagues in charge of DRM met his colleagues more than that. And our close relationship and also the following up each step by step and discuss, and including the several issues need to be tackled. It's the kind of the reason why we could implement very smoothly.
Oh, that's good to hear. And did you hear anything from JICA, your headquarters in Japan? Any concerns when this whole issue on flood control, corruption started making the news?
Actually, of course, it's the news that we heard and we understand the situation that we keep following up. But actually, for our project, we keep doing as it is and what we should do. And also, I think you already discussed about the budget thing. But I hope that through this kind of conversation and discussions, everyone could understand the situation of the foreign assistance projects, how it implement, and also it will affect positively to support from all entities and stakeholders to support the funding for the local parts and also for the implementation on the ground.
Senior Yusek Emil, I am not aware as a lawyer of any restrictions for the flood control projects in the Philippines to be implemented in the same way as ODA, foreign assisted projects. If you're doing a cost benefit analysis, if meron pala talagang benefit of just having them all implemented by through a foreign assisted mechanism, pwede magawin yun ng DPWH.
Exactly. Because ganito, Attorney Karen, all ODA projects has to go to the review of the DepDep. And it doesn't stop there because you have also the ICC Technical Board, you have the ICC Cabinet Committee, and you have the EDC. The EDC is actually the President will chair, the Executive Development Council. And the ICC CABCOM is actually under DOF. And DepDep Technical Board is actually under Secretary Balisacan. So all this review has to go through a rigid evaluations, no?
Pagka
Yes,
foreign assisted
all
project.
foreign projects. And there's also a threshold of getting it passed. It should be higher than the 10% economic internal rate of return, meaning ERR that is below. There's no ROI to the government. So it has to be higher than the 10%. Yun lang ang way na ma-qualify mo isang projects. Especially if these are actually big-ticket projects with high impact, especially in the countryside. Yun po ang gusto ng Pangulo na flagship projects for consideration. So all this betting will pass through the scrutiny of these three levels of review. So then before this will be negotiated with the lending institution, pagdating sa lending institution, they will send the appraisal mission. They have to revisit back
Galing
to
pa yun sa
compare.
ibang bansa,
Yeah,
yung
from
appraisal
JICA,
mission.
that's from Japan, from Korea, from Korean government. They have to revisit back the area. They go for the survey, they go for the interview, they go to the implementing office to discuss back yung details nun. So that appraisal is also another level where you can check if these are actually projects na talagang angkop sa isang location. So ang daming proseso talagang dapat yan.
Maraming checks and balances
Yeah, other
po.
than the procurement guidelines, binabantayan din nila yan. And if they really find some problema, which is actually highly irregular, they will refer this to the integrity board ng bangko. So that will be another investigation.
Madugo pala. Pero hindi po ba mabagal naman? Baka yun
Yeah,
yung other
there could be
side
some
of it.
delay. There could be some delay. Pero yun ang sinasabi namin with the lending institution. They have to be very quick also in coming up with that response. Kasi pag inabot naman ng buwanan o ano, mas mahirap
Oo
naman
nga po,
makantay.
oo.
Kaya ang procurement natin sa ODA, it will take sometimes 6 to 8 months.
6 to 8 months.
Dahil sa masinsinang review.
Ano ang average po for non-ODA projects, yung locally funded projects?
Kung simplified bidding, 45 days to 2 months.
Malayo pala. So
Yes, oo.
matagal din.
Matagal siya.
Morishima-san, is there anything that is now being discussed within JICA to shorten the process of approving and implementing projects for partners like Philippines?
Of course, we try our best to shorten the time from the starting point to the benefits come on the ground. But as kindly mentioned, while we are supporting as an implementing agency, it's based on the official request from the government of Philippines. And of course, we understand and the importance of the discussion properly selected the prioritized project, which needs to and which is important for us to support. And our support is not just from JICA's funding, rather from the support for the people of Japan. So we have to check properly so that our project will on the ground in a proper manner and have a big impacts on the ground.
And if without consideration for funding or approvals, if there's one flood control project that you would like to recommend to the Philippines that we don't have yet, what would that be?
Oh, very difficult question. Actually, it's hard for me to say. Of course, everyone, you well know about the situation more than me.
Yes.
But actually, non-structural measures is one of the important points. I think it's a kind of shorter, some kind of activities, which you already discussed, like reduce and remove the garbage from the drainage system and keep doing on O&M is very important.
Operations and maintenance.
Maintenance
Okay.
is very important because even once you remove, but again it comes and it stops the drainage system, it affects the life here. So of course, it's O&M and optional maintenance could be very tough because it's daily work and quite hard to implement kind of things. But I think it's one of the things. Of course, you did, but it needs to do more.
Yeah. Well, that's good news, diba?
Yeah,
Hindi naman
because-
pala mahal yung solusyon eh.
Yeah.
Hindi lang fina-fund kasi wala kang kickback, hindi ma-bid out. Pero like you said, kung talagang i-fund yan dapat, MMDA, bigyan ng funding pati LGUs to really just continuously clean
Yes.
up our drains and garbage on a daily basis.
Yes, ma'am.
And Senior Yusek Emil, what is your advice to Secretary Vince Dizon? Kasi kayo matagal na po kayo sa DPWH, but
Yeah.
you've managed to implement really very good, legitimate projects because you handle the foreign-assisted projects. But someone trying to clean up the DPWH like Secretary Vince Dizon, what would be your advice to him po?
Yeah, actually, as I mentioned, it's a welcome development that Sec Vince is with us. We know also his expertise on that. Matagal din kami nagsama sa mga previous, like yung COVID period, na pinagtulungan po namin dyan ang undertaking sa COVID. Tapos sa flagship projects, when he was assigned as a build chief implementer, nung natapos siya, it was transferred to me. So we saw the same magnitude of implementations on the Build Better More program that is now implemented ng mahal na Pangulo. But nevertheless, the challenge there is still the fund. The providing funds not only for DPWH but also the DOTR and other line agencies implementing big ticket projects. Sa DPWH lang we have 42 flagship projects. Ito yung nasa construction na, nasa design, and some of these are in the negotiation stage and some are actually in the review phase ng NEDDEM. Whereas ang DOTR, nandyan din ang subway nila, ang North-South Commuter Railway. Pero malaking projects yan, Atty. Karen, ang talagang pinoprogram ng ating Pangulo. The support by the Congress should be there. Actually, these are flagship projects. These are game-changing projects na dapat sana tutukan talaga ng gobyerno na para mapondohan. Because the project, the program itself, aims to accelerate infrastructure development, increase the productive capacity of the economy, generate more job, and strengthen the investment climate of the country. So pag nasuportan natin yan, I think in several years from now, at nagawa lahat yan, you have the flood control projects, you have the Inter-Island Bridge Connector na kung saan pinasinayanan ng ating Pangulo noong September 27, yung Pangil Bay Bridge. Then there's the upcoming procurement of the Bataan-Cavite, 32 kilometers that will connect Southern Tagalog to Subic and to Bataan. Then we have also the Panay Guimaras Negros Island that will connect also the Western Visayas Island doon. This can be a good transition, no?
Oo.
So
Ang
there are a
dami
lot
pa
of
ng
projects.
flagship
Napakalaking
projects. Dapat pala
yan,
may ibang
Atty.
episode pa
Karen.
tayo for that. I didn't know
Yes.
na mga 42 pala yung
Even
flagship
the
projects.
tunnel projects we are actually building in Davao, that's the first tunnel projects at 2.3 kilometers long. Then there's the upcoming also the Dalton Bypass that is more longer at 5 kilometers long.
Matagal ka rin Dalton bypass eh. Nakikita ko na po.
Matutuloy na this
Yeah,
time,
finally.
Atty. Karen.
So yun talaga, susi din talaga dito yung
Yes.
Congress na ma-allocate nila yung funds for flagship projects.
It
Wag
should
na yung
be.
sa mga districts
Wag
na
na yun.
walang
Oo.
high impact sa Pilipinas. So thank you so much for your insights, Senior Yusek Emil Sadain,
Thank you,
and
Atty.
JICA's Morishima-san, Senior Representative. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Atty. Karen.
Sana po.
The country's fight against flooding is a complex balance of massive infrastructure, international cooperation, and the pursuit of transparency and accountability. From innovative river management to long-term climate resilience planning, the stakes for lives, communities, and industries have never been higher. And right now, the call for real, uncorrupted solutions has never been more urgent. Be timely informed, be insightful of the news. Always stay at the forefront. Join us again tomorrow for insights on issues that matter. This is Attorney Karen Jimeno. Thank you for spending your hour with us.